I think we can all agree that most single-player games that we play, we rely on the story to carry a good portion of our experience playing the game. In some games, some of the choices that you can make can alter how the story might play out. Detroit Become Human is one of the many games released over the last decade or so, where the choices you make become a story that plays out, who lives, who dies, who becomes good and bad, and the like. And I thought the perfect way to experience a game like this would be on stream, and then to talk about not only the game, but decisions I would make in this casual gamer review. Would I have these androids become independent from their owners, or would I have them become human? And you may be asking yourself, what's a casual gamer review, you charming voice in my head? Well, I can tell you in a simple, scripted manner. I like to call this series Casual Gamer Reviews because I consider myself just that, a casual. I tend to get very bored super easily and thus have dropped a plethora of games without finishing them, so I have made a goal for myself since I have started to stream on Twitch. Come join us. It's a fun time, I promise. That goal is to play through at least the main story before I can be considered done with the game. And then I make a review based on that experience, and whatever that game makes me want to finish on top of that will of course help me in my reviewing process. It's pretty much a review of the game at face value and not some crazy critique, because I am just a loving boy. Today, in my casual gamer review, we will be talking about the gameplay, the story, and we'll end off on some final thoughts as well as my review rating of the game. Also, a disclaimer that this video will have spoilers due to this being just a story-based game, and all gameplay revolves around that. Certain outcomes and choices that I made playing this game will get spoiled for you, so if you don't want that spoiled for you, maybe see you in the next video. On to the review. The gameplay in Detroit Become Human is pretty straightforward. It is similar to most of the games that fall into this genre, where most of it is cutscene based, and you're usually prompted in what you want your character to do or say in each moment, and that of course will change what happens next and throughout the rest of the story. And most dialogue options that come up are timed, so you have a limited time to make your choice, which of course makes sense because you don't have unlimited time in your real life either. So you almost have to have an idea of where you want to take each cutscene so you can make the correct choices as the game moves on. There are also plenty of action sequences that will take place numerous times in the game where you have to make quick time events, which is just hit the button in the correct time to make sure you have success. Sometimes, even if you fail one or two times, it's not the end of the world, but it is still different if you would have had a perfect sequence. And also, these action sequences can be absolutely insane. Like, yeah, I know these are robots, but some of the things that at least Marcus does in his playthrough is pretty anime based. Like, he just sometimes has superpowers. Anyways, whatever. In between these cutscenes, you do get to walk around as one of your characters. This is where you get to investigate your surroundings, finding clues that might be able to unlock conversation options, or just overall help you understand what the best way to take an issue would be. Sometimes you wouldn't have unlimited time to do this either. I like this feature because depending on how efficient or thorough you were, it could really help you out in the sections following. And I like that the gameplay was straightforward because it really just wanted to make sure that the story part was the primary focus. Yeah, of course it can be boring because it does feel like you are just watching a movie, but you do have to be tentative because every choice you make has an impact on the story, the relationships that you have with other NPCs, and just the overall experience that you will have. And of course, in a story-driven game, the primary focus that it should be would be the story. And it follows three androids, Connor, Kara, and Marcus, each of the three having their own stories and pasts, which each of their decisions could have an impact on the world that takes place in this game. I tried my best to roleplay, I think that is an appropriate word for it, trying to just put it with Dungeons and Dragons, I guess. I pretty much wanted to have each of them go down their path that I thought the game was presenting for them. I wanted Connor to start off as the stern android doing things by the book, but ultimately loosen up due to his relationship with his partner Hank. I wanted Kara to protect Alice as if she was her actual daughter and would do anything to make sure she had a good life. And as for Marcus, I possibly wanted him to start the rise of machines. And I kept referring to Skynet from Terminator and kept doing the sound of dun 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 dun. They might have changed some things. I mainly did this so I wouldn't be caught up making the characters do what I thought was morally right or wrong, because I thought that would have been boring, just having each character do the exact same path of what I would have chosen. Starting off like this was working out well. Went off without a hunch, you could say. But, oh boy, the starting an uprising of some pissed off and abused androids start having you have to make some really hard choices. Which I also thought was good for the game, to really make you think about each decision and ultimately feel the consequences of each of your possibly big actions. I mean, there were several times throughout the game that I was freaking out that some of the characters that I wanted to protect and have a good life for the end were going to possibly meet their ends because I made a decision either chapters ago with the character, or even a decision with a different character from a complete different path, but that decision, caused a consequence in my safe, happy ending path. And earlier, I said that your decisions affect the relationships with other NPCs, but there is also a little stat that keeps track throughout the game for the world's opinion of androids based on the decisions that you make, and most of the big boy decisions happen to make the news, so everybody feels that. I am so happy that they made every decision that you make matter. There are constant consequences. I mean, sometimes it could be a reward, but you mostly reflect on the bad things, because when something goes bad, you can just cycle in your mind where you could have possibly made an incorrect choice. And boy, did I make some really bad ones, because hardly any of the main characters, at least the ones I wanted to make it, actually made it to the ending. And speaking of endings, I've tried to look up how many endings there are exactly. Haven't been able to find that exact number, but because there are so many paths, choices, dialogue options that you can make between the three characters, I saw that there's at least 40 different endings, which is a lot. That sounds very awesome and grand, and there's a lot of replayable value in having that many endings. But when it comes to myself, I can't really see myself trying to find those. I think for me, playing a game like this, I would do it max 2 or 3 playthroughs, where it's just like authentic playthrough, try to get everyone to survive playthrough, try everyone to be evil playthrough, something like that. I just don't have the patience to try to figure out the exact choices to make certain endings happen. Granted, some of the quote-unquote endings it listed is having a character die super early, so some of the playthroughs would be fast, but it's just a lot. The main example that I have of this is that I attempted playing this game almost when it came out with my friends sitting on a couch, because we would play these kind of games. I got halfway through it, both of us didn't want to play, I never wanted to pick it up, so I dropped it. Haha, he really is a casual, he did the thing where he drops the game super early, that's a thing, it's the playlist. But then, I obviously played it recently on stream, and didn't make that many different choices, but there were some that are different, because, I knew what the choices I made the first time happened, and I didn't want to do that. It wasn't that many differences, but man, it felt like I was presented with an entirely different timeline of things I had to choose from, which is a positive, but that's just a lot for me to think of playing through it again. And I did have an overall good experience playing through Detroit Become Human. I was glued to the story, and having my chat react to some of the particularly hard choices, or getting mad at me pausing the game to try and think out of a life or death one, was really fun. It's just, I wouldn't find myself to want to go through that whole process again, because not only would I not want to play it on stream, I definitely don't want to try to do that with no one else around, because I feel like the experience was having other people watch it. I think playing this game by myself would have maybe lowered that experience, because I wouldn't be able to talk to other people about the chaos that I made. And also, it is, again, a mostly story-driven game. It feels like mostly an experience, not actually playing a game. I find this to be a game where you complete it and maybe compare it to a different friend's playthrough, and then you guys can discuss how each of you got there. But overall, I would give Detroit Become Human my casual gamer rating of 7 out of 10. Overly good experience, Wouldn't play it again. And it's also dock points because I think it would have been less fun if I would have played it by myself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want to see how my playthrough went, the link of the playlist is in the description, as well as a link to my Twitch, so you can come and watch me play these games live, but they will also be posted on here. So you can also subscribe here for those VODs. It just won't be live, but you can experience the VODs, as well as future reviews, pack openings, and other edited videos I make. And hopefully I can start making these reviews faster, because boy am I falling behind. Hope you all enjoy your day. See you next time. Bye bye.